It's Tuesday, September 1st, and this is now on HNN.
A historic closure. Both directions of the H3 freeway are shut down for COVID-19 surge testing.
After a big shakeup in the Ige administration, some lawmakers are calling for more accountability.
The latest example of Governor Ige's failed leadership during this crisis.
President Trump is greeted by protesters as he visits Kenosha, Wisconsin today. But will his visit ease tensions or continue the divide? I'm Deborah Alfarone at the White House.
You know, there's a part of you that says, should I just stay closed? But the reality is we don't know.
I'm Chris Martinez with how restaurants are finding innovative new ways to safely serve their customers.
These stories and more coming up on This Is Now.
And so we thought that the H3 would be the perfect site for an event like this. You know, it can handle many people. We have lots of miles of highway on both sides of the tunnel that would allow us to queue up cars without impacting traffic flow.
That was Governor Ige just moments ago giving an update on this closure. A monumental COVID-19 testing effort is underway right now on the H3 freeway. Hundreds of cars lining up in both directions for this multi-agency effort in which authorities hope to test thousands of people on Oahu. Hey everyone, I'm Jonathan, your director producer, alongside Ashley. Thanks for watching This Is Now. We want to get started with the latest numbers from the State Department of Health, which September is already off to a deadly start.
Hey everyone, health officials say 4 more patients with COVID-19 have died, bringing Hawaii's death toll to 74. DOH is also reporting 181 new COVID-19 cases today. The breakdown by county shows 157 are on Oahu, 19 are on the Big Island, and 5 are on Maui. Now for more on the surge testing event on the H3, we have reporters on the ground and in the air. We start with Billy V.
Thank you very much. The testing has begun and will go on until 2 o'clock this afternoon. We're here at the H3 freeway and Kamehameha Highway. This is one of the entry points from the windward side of Oahu. One of the things that you might want to do before you go up for your testing is to make sure that your car has gas in it, at least a 3/4 tank or a full tank, because you're going to have to go up there, wait in the long line of cars, go to the registration, do your registration there if you don't already have your paperwork from the website. Then you go up to the test site and get tested there, go all the way through to the opposite side of the H3 and exit, and then you have to come back to wherever you came from using the Pali or Like Highway. Let's go to Casey Lund, who is also giving us an overall aerial view of today.
Yeah, Billy, quite a wild day up here above Oahu and above H3. And if we show you what we saw this morning, we saw some buses taking the testers into the tunnel. Of course, we weren't going to be able to see a lot of the testing going on because it was happening inside the Horono tunnel. But we did see them bring all those employees, all those testers in. And then we saw several police cars. We also saw them set up porta potties for the folks that were going to be out there on the roadway today. Man, it really started to get busy right when they opened up the roadway at around 8:30, and then we started to see that line back up right before 9 o'clock. So a huge effort that is going to be underway throughout the day. The city and county of Honolulu did not actually get the go-ahead from the federal transportation officials yesterday. They decided that this was an important enough effort that they were going to go ahead and do this anyway without the official okay from the feds. So we'll see how this all works out later today. Of course, as you mentioned, it'll be happening until 2 o'clock this afternoon. Above Oahu, I'm Casey Lund reporting for This Is Now.
As that surge testing continues today, officials hope they worked out some of those kinks we saw last week. Rick Dasog has more on a mislabeling mishap.
The city and federal government initially planned to test 60,000 Oahu residents over the next 2 weeks. Mayor Kirk Caldwell says another 30,000 tests will be conducted. He hopes the expanded testing will go more smoothly than on the first day, when more than 1,700 were mislabeled and had to be tossed. The city says contract employees working for the federal government failed to correctly label the test vials.
I think we've corrected the problems on the first day. We had a little bit of a rocky rollout. Everyone has been brought up to speed.
But State Representative Val Okimoto says there were other problems. On Friday, the Mililani lawmaker says she showed up for testing at the Waipio soccer complex, only to find out it was canceled because of a food distribution. Then on Saturday, she went to the Mililani District Park, showing up an hour and a half early, and was told to wait in a drive-through line. It turned out it was a walk-in line, and she ended up at the back.
It just seems like a lot of miscommunication and planning that's not thorough. And I understand, again, that this is something new to everybody.
Caldwell took issue with Okimoto's account.
That's where when you have politicians talking stink about the testing program, it helps none of that. Does not help their constituents, does not help the community that they've all been elected to serve.
Testing 90,000 people over several weeks is an enormous venture. Part of the reason for the glitches is that the task is so large and was put together with little time. Lieutenant Governor Josh Green says the city should have first tested the program on a smaller scale.
The better approach would have been to do 1,000 tests with medics, debug it right off the bat at the city and county, do first responders, and then move into the larger operation.
But both he and the mayor believe the problems are being worked out. Rick Desog, Hawaii News Now.
After months of criticism, the state health director and the public safety director are stepping down. But Governor Ige says Bruce Anderson and Nola Espinda were not forced out.
I did not lose confidence in Director Espinda or Director Anderson. They did inform me that they had decided to retire. As you know, they both have decades of service to our community.
County, state, and federal lawmakers have demanded more accountability, and some say this is a chance for the state to reset. Chelsea Davis has more reaction.
The Ige administration's struggle to contain the virus has generated national headlines in recent days. At one point, Hawaii had one of the nation's lowest per capita testing rates. Now we have the highest infection rate.
Department of Public Safety Director Nolan Espinda is retiring while the state's largest jail is battling a massive COVID-19 outbreak. Hundreds of inmates and corrections officers have tested positive for the virus. Governor David Ige says he did not ask for Espinda's resignation, he just accepted it. Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, one of the most vocal critics of the state's response to Oahu's COVID-19 surge, says it's a cop-out.
The latest example of Governor Ige's failed leadership during this crisis that is taking the lives of our neighbors, our friends, and members of our community, our families. And this just points to the seriousness.
Meanwhile, head of the Department of Health, Bruce Anderson, is also out after widespread scrutiny over his response to the pandemic.
Bruce has a good heart. He messed up the contact tracing and testing program. He didn't listen to people who were encouraging him to get that right.
The new directors will have to be decisive. They're going to have the ability to pivot when things change. And they're going to have good communication skills because they need to build public confidence at this point. That is what is lacking.
Ige has appointed Dr. Libby Char, an emergency physician, to replace Dr. Anderson. Honolulu's mayor says she's well equipped for the job.
I think she is a very straight shooter, calls things as she sees them, hands-on, is a doctor by training. I have 100% confidence in her, and I'm grateful that the governor has nominated her.
And Maria Cook will temporarily fill in for Espinda. She was the Deputy Director of Administration for DPS.
The governor says Dr. Sarah Park, the state's epidemiologist, is still on the job. Dr. Libby Char is set to replace Dr. Anderson on September 16th and serve as the DOH's interim director. Her appointment needs to be confirmed by the Senate. Chelsea Davis, Hawaii News Now.
We have new details on some overnight breaking news from OCCC. Police sources tell HNN that a 27-year-old inmate beat up another inmate that was 62 years old. This all happened last night around 10:30. We're told an adult corrections officer was called to a disturbance in a cell. The officer called for backup, and that's when the suspect allegedly attacked the victim. He was pronounced dead at the hospital. No word on charges for the suspect. President Trump is in Wisconsin today to assess the damage from this violent protest and talk to law enforcement officers. Deborah Alfarone has more.
President Trump was greeted by protesters as he traveled to Kenosha, Wisconsin, despite calls from local officials for him to reconsider the visit.
I'm here today. I feel so safe, and you went through hell just a few days ago.
The president toured local businesses damaged by the protests. President Trump also praised law enforcement at an operations center set up at a local high school.
I came to thank the law enforcement, the police, they're incredible, and the National Guard has been truly amazing.
Some protests across the country have turned violent, with social justice and pro-Trump demonstrators clashing on the streets. A Trump supporter was shot and killed in Portland, Oregon over the weekend, and a 17-year-old Illinois Trump supporter faces homicide charges in Wisconsin. Police say Kyle Rittenhouse killed 2 protesters in Kenosha last week. President Trump has suggested that Rittenhouse may have acted in self-defense, and in a recent interview with Fox News, he compared the shooting of Jacob Blake to a missed golf putt.
They choke, just like in a golf tournament. They miss a 3-foot.
You're not comparing it to golf because, of course, that's what the media.
I'm
will say.
saying people choke.
People panic.
Choke.
Yeah.
You are the president of the United States of America. You are not the president of white supremacist America. We need you to stand up and do your job.
Local Democrats and the Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden have called for violence to end on all sides. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, the White House.
This morning on Sunrise, we were joined by Dr. David Agus. He's a professor at USC School of Medicine and CBS's national medical contributor. Here's what he had to say.
Last time we talked, we hadn't hit triple digits, but we're seeing triple digits every day now, doctor. And worst of all, our positivity rate. Yesterday it was 9%. It's been higher than that before. What are your thoughts as you look at the problems that we have here in Hawaii?
You know, the problem with this virus, why it's so pesky, is that you get asymptomatic spread. And so not knowing so, you don't mean to cause harm. You go out, you see your friends, and you come home and you hug grandma, and we get spread of the virus. And so we all have to wear our masks, period. The problem is that if most people do, that doesn't help, because the mask will not prevent you from getting the virus, it prevents you from spreading it. And it is very difficult, especially when early on we didn't mandate this behavior, to get people literally overnight to change what they're doing and to be compliant. I wish you could hit a button, because then we could stop the virus.
Yeah. And then you need to remind the people that aren't wearing it, hey, it's not about you, it's about us. And you need to do it for us. You talk about gatherings.
You don't have a right to harm you. That's the critical thing, right? Nobody has a right to harm anybody else. And by not wearing a mask, it's like smoking in a restaurant. You can harm other people. That's what worries me.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about confined spaces, and we talk about schools. We here in Hawaii, we've postponed in-class until October. At the same time, we look across the nation, we see kids getting sick, we see teachers getting sick, other staff members. Is this something maybe we should look at just postponing till next year, or even at least until we get a vaccine?
It all depends, right? I mean, it depends on where you are in Hawaii. I mean, certainly the numbers are different depending on which island you're on. The numbers are different depending on which part of the island you're on. In certain areas where there's a significant positivity rate, and where you do not have compliance with behaviors like social distancing and wearing a mask, I don't think it's safe to be in school. In other areas where the numbers are very low and people are behaving appropriately and schools have a real plan to enforce wearing masks and social distancing, it is safe to be in school. So you can't give a one-size-fits-all, which I know states are like to do, but at the same time, we need to really impress upon people that we know what to do. We just have to do it.
Yeah. You've been very, very confident about a vaccine and optimistic more than some. There are others that are just skeptical that it might just get rushed out before it's fully prepared. Where are we in the development of a vaccine? When could we see not just a vaccine, but one that we can trust?
That's a great question. The key is that trust. I agree with you 100%. The good is the government, the FDA has set the clear metrics of what needs to be achieved before a vaccine will go out. And the data are going to be transparent. If it's not safe and it doesn't reduce the symptoms by at least 50%, that vaccine will not be released. The good is the lead vaccine is a vaccine from Oxford University that was given to a drug company called AstraZeneca for no profit. So nobody is making a dime on this vaccine, which I love. It was tested in phase 3 clinical trials in South Africa, Brazil, and the United Kingdom. And those results will happen rather soon. And if it's shown to work in that setting, it could be approved here. So the good is the trial will have been done outside the United States. The approval will be in other countries first. So it will not be led by our politics, because politicizing that vaccine is inappropriate. We need the vaccine to save lives. And I am very confident we will have a vaccine in the fall. The big question is how much of a supply we'll have. And I'm not sure of that.
Mayor Harry Kim says a lockdown is not needed despite a surge in cases on the Big Island. Kim told the Hawaii Tribune Herald he doesn't believe in shutting down non-essential businesses. He calls it, quote, punishment. The mayor has made a push for more testing and enforcement of existing rules instead. Kim also says he will soon announce new gathering restrictions for the Labor Day weekend. Hawaiian Airlines has notified about 1,000 employees they are losing their jobs. In a letter to employees, the airline's president and CEO said 816 flight attendants and 173 pilots will be gone by October, all non-unionized workers.
Hawaiian Airlines will thrive again. It will take time, plus careful planning, hard work, collaboration, and execution, along with a lot of things outside our control to start going our way. But I look forward to the po'okela that comes when our goal is in sight.
The airline also says more than 1,000 unionized workers may face layoffs in the near future.
The website Food A Go-Go put together a list of Hawaii restaurants that have closed during the pandemic so far. It lists a total of 37 venues, including Nobu, Dillingham Saimin, Chart House, and Kaka'ako Kitchen. But the actual number is likely much higher, with businesses struggling to stay afloat every day. The list spans all islands, but most closures are on Oahu. The same website also lists the restaurants that are still open for takeout. We got a link posted to that on hawaiinewsnow.com. Now let's turn it over to Chris Martinez, who shows us how some restaurants are changing things up a bit to serve their customers safely.
At Lady Bird Cafe, a unique way to dine outdoors is on the menu.
People really need a moment to just take a deep breath, relax, have an hour to enjoy themselves.
Owner Misty Mansouri transformed the 5-car parking lot at her Los Angeles restaurant into an outdoor dining oasis. Tables are placed in small, open-air greenhouses to provide privacy and maximize social distancing. With indoor dining still not allowed in LA because of COVID-19, this was the only way to keep her business alive.
You know, there's a part of you that says, should I just stay closed? But the reality is we don't know how long this is going to last.
Restaurant owners have been left looking for innovative ways to keep their businesses functioning and their customers fed. This Dutch restaurant in Amsterdam also turned to temporary greenhouse dining as a way to keep diners socially distanced.
It's super cozy. It's really cozy and nice, and the food is delicious.
And at this San Francisco sushi restaurant, these 3 7-foot-tall translucent patio bubbles offer isolated service.
We thought it was a great idea. We haven't seen any other restaurants do it here in the Bay Area, so might as well jump onto it and make the first out of it.
Back in Los Angeles, Misty's greenhouse parking lot has become so popular with diners, she's considering making it a permanent fixture.
I've literally had people cry to me and say, I needed this so bad. I needed just a day out.
Like many business owners, she hopes hers can hold on. Chris Martinez, CBS News, Los Angeles.
A lot of really inventive ideas there, that's for sure. I don't know if the greenhouse idea would work here. I think it might get a little hot.
That's true.
I don't know.
Gotta do what you gotta do to survive,
Yeah, it was good ideas though. All right, let's see. Speaking of heat, let's turn it over to Guy Hoggy with our latest forecast.
How's it on this Tuesday? I'm Guy Hoggy with this update for you on the weather. The weather's looking fantastic out there. Trade wind conditions, a few windward and Mauka showers, really not much. And whatever rain comes in will fall in the overnight and early morning hours. Leeward sides will remain mostly dry. And that's basically the pattern that's going to continue for the next 7 days. Those trade winds will run nice and steady today, 15 to 20 miles an hour, especially for Maui County where it's going to be windiest. Kailua Kona is going to have the lightest winds and the highest humidity levels. And today the winds will be running 10 to 20, again a little windier for Maui County. But by tomorrow, the winds will ease up a little bit. Now, as far as the surf, it's still going to be small island wide with the biggest waves rolling into the east shore on that wind swell. A small pulse is expected on the south shore, but it's not going to be big at all for a long time. And then over the weekend, though, we could see a nice little south pulse again. Should pick up the waves to the fun size, maybe some head high waves. Again, that's for the weekend. So steady trade winds today, lightening up, slowing down on Wednesday all the way through Friday. And then on Saturday, a minor boost in those trade winds. Keep it here on Hawaii News Now. We'll have all your severe weather updates.
All right, a lot of people's feeds are talking about these next stories. Get ready to spend some serious cash if you want Samsung's next smartphone. We're talking about this. It is the Galaxy Z Fold. It goes on sale September 18th, but pre-orders start tomorrow. Guess how much this guy costs?
Is it more than an iPhone?
It's more than an iPhone.
Oh boy.
$2,000!
Yikes!
I know! The device features a front screen and a larger inner screen once unfolded. See how it works there? Seems definitely like something I would break. Even with that $2,000 price tag, Samsung is trying to do some things to entice customers with VIP benefits, is what they're called, to places like Michelin star restaurants and elite golf courses.
Okay, some perks.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't afford that. I know.
And here's some news for the moms out there. Nike has launched its first activewear line for new and expecting mothers. So the maternity collection is called Nike M, and the company says the products are designed to meet the changing needs of women's bodies before, during, and after pregnancy. So they include tights with a foldable wide waistband, a scoop neck tank that makes it comfortable for women to nurse, a sports bra that can be adjusted for breastfeeding or pumping, and a cover-up with a split opening that can be worn to accommodate a growing belly or as a nursing cover. Now the items will be available online starting September 17th.
All I gotta say is about time. Why did it take
Seriously,
so long? Really?
yeah.
Seriously.
Right, good for you, Nike. And a big social media milestone. Ariana Grande has become the first female to get 200 million Instagram followers. To give you comparison, This Is Now's Instagram has about 2,000, and we did the math, and that is 0.00001% of what Ariana has. So anyway, the singer beat out Kylie Jenner and Selena Gomez.
Good math work there, but I was just had thank you, next. Ariana Grande song stuck in my head, so.
Sorry.
But good job, good job.
And Channing Tatum is proving he is the ultimate girl dad. Check this out. The actor announced on social media that he's written a children's book. It's called The One and Only Sparkella. Now, it's about a little girl who gets teased for wearing sparkly things to school, but her dad helps and encourages her. Now, Tatum posted a photo of himself with the book on Instagram. He said he found his inner child during quarantine and ended up creating the book for his 7-year-old daughter, Everly. The book is set for release next May.
And something we can all relate to, getting teased for wearing sparkling things to work. Right? I know, you always have dress code problems. Too,
yes, that's right.
Sorry.
And we have a big celebration to tell you about planned for this week at Pearl Harbor. Tomorrow, September 2nd, marks the 75th anniversary of the end of World War II. Japan surrendered on board the battleship Missouri in Tokyo Bay. To bring the story full circle, the Missouri now sits in Pearl Harbor, the site of the Japanese attack, which led the United States to enter the war. Now, the Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper, is scheduled to attend the ceremonies. We'll have special coverage all day tomorrow morning right here on Sunrise, and you can catch the full event on KHNL starting at 8:30.
Hey guys, wanted to end with telling you about this. First at 4 starts next week. That's with Ashley and new dad himself, Mark Carpenter. That starts next Monday at 4 o'clock. Ashley's not going anywhere here at noon though. She's going to stick around for this.